Hey, what's happening out there, YouTube? Carla C&L Small Engine Repair and Lawn Care. And the lawn care is getting ready to kick off in the big state of West Virginia. As everybody knows, we were the last to have confirmed cases of the virus. Had some dust on there, guys. I wasn't blowing you kisses. Anyway, hey, I said about the coronavirus and things like that, man. I ain't gonna get on that bandwagon. There's plenty of videos out there telling you all about this and that. I will say this. I know that a lot of you guys out there that own shops or just started your shop, Amazon's only sending out, I got an email, and I don't know to what extent. Okay, guys, I don't need a bunch of comments going, well, I got diapers the other day, and I got whatever. But I order a lot of stuff like diapers for my grandson off Amazon and different things, man. Just whatever I can find cheaper there to have it shipped in is easier on me. So anyway, but they're only sending out, I got an email saying that they were just sending out things that were a necessity. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I know that your parts are harder to get because I've tried to order a few parts and they're on back order, stuff that should not be on back order. Okay? Even from my distributors and things like that. So I don't think it's, going to hurt real bad, but as time goes on, it's going to. If you live in a state to where, they've done quit moving a lot of things by truck or something like that, then yeah, I guess it could. But anyway, what I wanted to talk to you today about wasn't that coronavirus stuff. I said there in a video about a week ago I was going to show you some maintenance tips and things like that on some mowers, how to go over and inspect things and look at stuff and all that. Well, I planned on doing that with my own mowers as I got them ready for spring, because I got my trimmers and stuff like that out in one video. I think I sent that out and got them started, which they didn't need anything really. I mean, if you do your maintenance, preventative maintenance in the fall, then you shouldn't have very much trouble in the spring. But I know a lot of people don't do that. And you guys that own shops out there, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, they turned that lawnmower off into October after they mulched up a bunch of leaves. They don't put fuel shut-off valves on them. They don't dump the gas out of them, clean the carburetors, or put any kind of clean fuel stabilizer or anything like that in them, man. They just shut them off. Then in the spring, we get overrun with carb clean outs and blade sharpenings and belt changes and filter changes and other problems that result from that. Parts wore out where they haven't greased it all year, and but that's cool. That's how we make our money. But I wanted to show you, I've got a Ferris in here. It's a Ferris IS 500Z zero turn, and it's got a 24 horsepower Briggs on it. Well, I'm going to show you a few things doing the inspection on this thing. When the customer brought it in, he said, just tune it up, man. Change all the filters, change oil, spark plugs, stuff like that, and go over it, grease it. Okay, this is what I found with this machine. Now, a lot of guys would overlook this, so I'm going to go through this thing step by step on what I look for when I do this kind of stuff, because part of this is your reputation, guys. Anybody can put a Band-Aid on something. When somebody brings you a piece of equipment in and they say that they want it gone over, they want it to where they hit the key here in a week or so when they go to mowing grass with it, and they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to be concerned with greasing it and changing plugs and filters and all that. So I'm going to go over this mower right here real quick, and I'll just show you my process for doing it, and I'll show you a few things that I found. So anyway, let me turn this camera around and we'll get to it, man. This is the mower. Let me back up here a little bit. You can see my parts book laying there because I already found a few things. What I done was I went ahead and changed the oil in it. That was the first thing. Now, I'm going to tell you guys straight up. Let me get my little flashlight. I'll probably need it. This is not your ideal change. Where did my light go? Your ideal oil change on this thing and maintenance. These things are a beast to change the oil in. You would think, not the oil, but the filter is terrible. Okay, you see how it cages around that engine? Alright. First thing, of course you're going to change oil. I'll show you where that's at. But, now I've already done some stuff to this. I put a new fuel filter on it, which is down in there. Now right back in there, see where the light's shining. Try to get down in there as far as I can. Is the oil filter. Forget getting to that oil filter from the top, okay? It's just a nightmare. Don't even start to attempt it. What it is underneath. I'm gonna show you here. Get me something to lay on. I ain't gonna get filthy dirty today. I'm just not gonna do it. I know I'm in the shop, but I'm just not gonna do it. Anyway, there's an oil tube up underneath this thing. If I can get to it. Where's it at under here? Oh gosh, got my light on strobe. Okay. Right there. And that just pops out of there. It's got a nut on the end of it. You just drop that off. Now if you're standing behind the mower, that's on the left hand side. Okay, so that makes it pretty easy. Over here on this side, let me turn this camera around. Sorry guys. I know this is tough under here. But right up in there, if I can get to it, is the oil filter. There's a hole down here. There it is. There's a hole down in here. And right there you can see part of the filter right there with that white tag. Doggone it. Let me spin around here. Right there. But there is a hole there to go up through there and get the oil filter off. If they wasn't, I don't know how you'd get to it. Now, I'm sure that the Ferris dealer probably has a tool to reach down in there and get that thing from the bottom, or reach up and get it right there on that oil filter. What you got to do is use a filter wrench. I'm not a filter wrench, a strap wrench. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll show you. This is just a strap wrench. Cheap, Harbor Freight, 2 of them for like $6, man. I got a small one and a big one. Okay, there's the oil change. Now, of course, you seen where I put that fuel filter on there also. Right there. Put the fuel filter on it, no big deal. Still got to change the plugs, which shouldn't be a big deal because there is a hole right there that's got the spark plug in it. And a cutout on this side for the spark plug. So those are easy to get to. Air filter, of course, this is just, like I said, it's a Briggs 24 horsepower. No big deal. Alright, now here's one thing that a lot of homeowners mess up on. Okay, this is your hydro reserve. I'm going to take his cap off. Now people will look down in this thing. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, it's empty. Oh, it's low. That's not low, guys. I don't know if my camera, how well it's going to pick that up. But that, you can see it reflecting off there. That's not low. There's a line right here. And it says hot. That's where your fluid's supposed to be. Now this thing being cold, the fluid is about right here. But once that fluid heats up and expands a little bit, it's going to come up through there. So that might need a little bit put in it. By the way, it's not regular hydraulic oil, hydraulic fluid. Look right there. There's a tag. 20W50 motor oil. So you want to check that. You also want to check the overall condition of the equipment. Now when I was doing that, as I was looking around it and all that, I was actually getting ready to grease it, and I'll show you what I found. Here's one of the wheels, the anti-scalp wheels on the front of the deck. It has had it. Here's the bolt. Look at that. See if that's gonna, if I can get that to, yeah, there we go. Look how much that's wore down in that bolt. So what would have happened before this year's out, guarantee it, this would have broke. It would have let that bolt, that wheel, this wheel here, fall off, and it goes right there. And on the other side, it would have went back up underneath the deck and probably bent a blade, maybe busted a spindle. And if you notice, there's no chute blocker on this. So let's say it didn't bust a spindle or bend a blade. Where do you think this thing's going to fly out of? What if you had that chute open right there, and this is the wheel side, the side that it fell off on, hit them blades, and this thing goes soaring through the air out there for 100 feet. That's the kind of crap you get into. Now, I'm going to set this tripod up, and I'm going to show you something here. And everybody thinks that you could just jump up and order this thing from Ferris. Okay? Here's the wheel. What you're going to have to do, and then I'm going to show you in the parts book, what you're going to have to do, got my caliper out, you need to measure these wheels, guys. Now, this wheel's wore out, okay? But you can get a pretty good reading. All right, so this wheel, 0.8, okay? It's about basically 1 3/4. So at one time, this was probably a 2-inch wheel, which right there would basically be 2 inches, okay? So you can see that's not a whole lot of difference right there. That's not much. So this wheel was probably 2 inches wide. Now we know that it's wore down a little bit. So when we open it up, you got 4 3. So I would say that this is a 4.5-inch wheel. That's probably a 4.5-inch wheel, a 2 by 4.5. So when you go over here to the parts book, you're going to look down through here till you find this part number right here. That is a 4x2 Ferris. Now when I looked this up also, just on the internet, it said that this is the wheel for it. I don't quite see that, but if that's the wheel they're saying it is, because I went all the way through all these parts, and I never did find a 4.5-inch wheel. I found a 4-inch, a 3-inch, a 5-inch, an 8-inch, a 6-inch. I'm just going looking through these 2.5, 3 3/4, but you can tell them wheels aren't going to fit. They're just too wide. There's a 5-inch by 2.5. It goes on, what is that, a John Deere, but this is the actual Ferris. This is for a Ferris. There's your Oregon part number right there, 72-021. Now, I had some wheels here in a bag, and I thought, well, those will fit. I think these are off of Husqvarna. There's the wheel. This wheel is a 1/2 inch too wide. It's the right height, but it's a 1/2 inch too wide. So that's not going to fit, guys. I'm going to turn, so we know that we're going to have to order some wheels for this thing. Now, when you go to inspecting the grease fittings and stuff like that, I know I'm kind of rushing, guys. I'm just covered up busy today in the shop. But you can see right there, where's that? Right there, where that light's shining, is a grease fitting. There's also one right there. There's a grease fitting in that little slot there too, if you can see it right there. But there's 3 blades on this. When I went to look, guess what? We're missing a grease fitting. Not only is it not there, it's broke off. Yeah. So it's broke off. 2, I'll be checking the electrical system. And I may show you that if I can get down there and get to it pretty easy. But you just want, first off, you want to visually inspect all this stuff. Like right there is your solenoid on it. So from what I see, the solenoid looks good. I'll make sure everything's tight, but it's not gummed up. The connections aren't corroded up. It's in pretty good shape. Now you have to pull the cover to get to the battery. Check it out. Check the battery. These are things, guys, that you just got to look at when you go to do all this stuff. See, I mean, this machine's not bad. I mean, it's not real dirty. The guy pretty much takes pretty good care of this machine. Here's your hydro pumps. Are they leaking? Is there a bunch of junk Like here's one. Is there a bunch of, you can tell if it's been leaking. These don't seem to be leaking. Everything looks good on them. So there's your battery right up underneath there. You check your battery. Go ahead and put this thing on boost and battery charger. Start charging the battery up a little bit for the guy because it's done set all winter. Now this one will start and does all that. I mean, it starts pretty good now that I said that. Watch this, it won't start. Check the overall running of the machine. I'm going to turn this camera back around. Check the overall how the machine runs. If you start it up and you're like, well, it's okay because it'll run with a little bit of choke on it. No, that's not acceptable, guys. You're gonna have to clean the carburetor out on it. You're gonna have to find out what's going on, why that you have to run the choke on the carburetor, for instance. Oh, I got grease on stuff. Yeah, boy, looking good today, wearing war paint. But you just have to go over. You have to look at all the springs, all the cables. Make sure that there's nothing frayed on it. And I know that some customers, when they come in after you do all this, it's going to take you, it's going to take you at least, just to visually inspect it real good, it's going to take you 30 minutes. Then you're going to have to do all the work to it. Like this one, I've got to buy wheels for this thing. How long did it take me to look in that parts book and find the part? The customer gets charged for that, guys. This is your time that you're doing this. All this stuff here that you have to look and inspect. How long is it going to take me to drill and tap that grease fitting out of there? Guys, be careful with that, man. Do not jack that thing up. I'm lucky on this one because it actually still has the hole in the fitting that goes down through. So what I can do is take that tap and get it started down in that hole, and I won't have to drill. But anytime you're drilling around threads and stuff like that, guys, only thing I can tell you, I mean, if it wasn't that easy, I would have to take the deck off this. This isn't like taking the deck off a 42-inch riding mower, okay? There's a lot more to this. There's a lot more adjustments. Look, I mean, well, wait a minute. I didn't turn the camera around. But anyway, let me turn it around this way and show you. Like little stuff like this rod right here. Once you take this off, you leave this nut alone. That way you can just slide it back through and put it on. But all this has to come off. Those 7-gauge decks, guys, ain't like that stamp stuff. I'm here to tell you. This is what I do. And I wish I had mine here, but it's over at my other garage. When I take these off, I've got a moving dolly. Just not that you move things on. You know the little wooden ones that you buy at like Harbor Freight or whatever for like $10, and they got 4 wheels on them. Buy you one of those and slide up underneath this mower when you drop that deck off of it. That way you can roll that deck out from underneath there. Don't have your fingers under this 7-gauge steel deck, man. I'm telling you, guys, if you do, I can show you a few things on me that, see them pretty little fingers? See that one? You can lose pieces of finger in this this job. Getting them smashed off, cut off, pinched off, whatever you want to say. You want to be careful doing this kind of stuff. These, a 42 or even a 46, 50-inch stamp deck falls on your hand. You're like, ouch, dang it, ow, ooh. That 7-gauge deck fall on your hand, you'll say more than ooh. I'm here to tell you. You be asking for some repentance when that one's done. But I'm just telling you, just when you do this kind of stuff, guys, be careful. Check out your machine. Go from front to back. I know some guys, they probably got a different process. When the guy come in and he said, I want you to change oil, do the tune-up, which is plugs and filters and stuff like that. That's what he was talking about. And check everything out. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spike this job, okay? Now, some of you guys may not know it, but I'm going to go ahead and spike this job. And it's my job now. Once I change the oil in it, once I put some plugs and some filters and stuff like that in it, it's my baby then. It's mine. I'm going to complete the job. So I go ahead and change the oil and the filters and the plugs, and then I'll work on the rest of this stuff. You know, I got to pull these blades off here, sharpen the blades, inspect the belts, which I've already inspected the belts and stuff like that. They're good on it. You can do that a lot of times by lifting this seat up. Should have showed you that too. But you can look down in there and see the belts. If the belts are all frayed and maybe got cuts or something like that in them, go ahead and change the belts, man. This is why people think that when they come and they say, oh, I just want you to do some maintenance for me, they think it's, you know, a nickel and dime process. This is not, this on this machine is not going to be a nickel and dime process. I've got to order 2 scalp wheels. I done put 2 quarts of oil in it. Done put an oil filter on it. Done put an air filter in it. Getting ready to put 2 spark plugs in it. I'm going to have to tap that grease fitting out. Pull that grease fitting, which shouldn't take no time. I mean, honestly, it shouldn't take no more than 15-20 minutes to get that thing out of there and get another one put back in it. And that's, I've got a whole box. That's why I keep a box there, and I got them up here, different sizes and stuff like that. I've seen brand new machines, guys, come in. You can't grease them because you can't get to the grease fittings. They'll have like a straight grease fitting in one, and you can't get the grease gun to it. I mean, you can't get the hose on it. So what you got to do is take that grease fitting out, put you a 45 or a 90 or whatever that, you know. It's like if it was me, and this was my machine, I would take those grease fittings that's on those spindles, those straight ones, I'd put 90s on them. That way you don't have to bend that hose over and kind of clamp it down on the top. You can just go straight at it and make things a lot more simple. But most homeowners are not going to do that, especially if they've got a guy that they, you know, want the shop to do this kind of stuff. Anyway, guys, I'm talking myself to about out of wind, and y'all are going, yay, shut up. But anyway, guys, just when you're doing these maintenance, go over every little piece of it, because what will happen is, if you miss something, be assured that that guy is going to come back and say, you know what, man, I trusted you to do the maintenance on my machine, and my spindle wore out where you didn't grease it, my belt broke, and they're going to blame you for it. Document everything on your receipts, on your work orders. That's why I've got these. I'll show you mine. Everything I do is wrote down. Is wrote down right here in all this, and the part numbers and all that's right there. I don't know if y'all are seeing that real good or not, but that's mine. That's how I do it. Okay. Then I have tags. I put their name and stuff like that on. I ordered some off Rotary. Let me show you them right real quick, and I'll shut up, because I know you guys are getting ready to get hammered. Y'all getting ready to get busy. You guys that's in the business, y'all getting ready to get busy. That's what's getting ready to happen to you. And if you ain't prepared, this really caught me off guard this year because I was not prepared. Anyway, these little tags right here. Let me turn this around right real quick. I want to show you this. These little tags right here, man, they're by Rotary. And if you're a dealer, they're 19 cents a piece. So you order 100 of them for $19. There's the part number. They got the date, the name, the address, the phone number, work to be done, listed down through here. You could just use this thing, but then you give that half ticket where you peel that off. You give it to the customer. Now that part right there says promised. I never fill that out. Anyway, work performed. There's your little ticket that tells you what all you're going to do to this mower. So guys, when you're doing these inspections on these things, again, man, don't slack. Don't get no big rush. I mean, I'm kind of hurried today, but I've done hundreds of these things. So, and I still miss things from time to time. It's just not like, you know, I'm not saying that I can't miss something, because I can. You just go over this whole machine and make sure everything's good. You know, I'm going to jack this thing up. I'm going to check the bearings in the front wheels. The hydros aren't leaking. Now, I'm not going to go playing with something. If it ain't broke, I ain't going to fix it. I ain't getting into all that. Sometimes you can really mess yourself up. Then, you know, if you do, would happen to have to take this deck off. You got a lot of adjustments in here. But what I'm going to do with this deck is I'm going to level this deck while it's in here too. Guys, you know, by the time you get all this said and done, you're looking at having 2 hours of time in this. Whatever you charge, $40 an hour. You made $80 in labor in 2 hours, and whatever you're making off your parts. You know, but still, this guy is a loyal customer because he brought his machine in last year. No problems. I done all the work. I can tell that the filters ain't been changed. None of that. He didn't change all the filters. Nothing from last year, because I put my own little telltale signs, and you'll learn that. I know guys that use a silver marker, and they'll take a silver marker and mark certain things on the mower. And these are usually guys that works in have experience working in shops and things like that. They may use a pink magic marker, a green one, a blue one, and they'll put little marks on these mowers. Certain things, like if they adjusted something, they'll line it up, put a line, so when they get it back next year and it's out of adjustment, they can visually look at that and tell what you know, if it's the same piece of equipment. They'll know. They'll be like, hey, I worked on this last year and I said that this deck was perfectly level when this bolt was turned right here. They'll know that. So little things like that. Guys, I'm out. Listen, like I end all my videos, no matter what you do it for the glory of God, or it ain't worth doing. I don't care if it's just changing the oil in a machine. Just remember, especially if you're going to wear that Christian card, if you're going to wear that badge and you're going to call yourself a Christian, that you're a follower of Jesus, a follower of Christ, everything you do reflects back on Him. So do it as best you can. You know, like I always say, it ain't worth doing. If it wasn't for Him giving us the ability to be able to do this kind of stuff, none of it's possible without Him anyway. Until next time, guys, CNL is out. See you guys later.